Hi everyone and welcome to the bonus podcast for episode 445 of Conversation Street. We are doing a classic character profile this week. It's been a long time, well, not a long time coming, but it feels like almost every week for the past few weeks we've been meaning to do a character profile of this particular person. It is Violet Wilson. But before we get into that, I am Michael.
I'm Gemma.
And she's Gemma. And Violet, why are we talking about her this week, Gemma?
Why are we talking about Violet for?
You know why.
Because she's rich now.
No.
And we want to suck up to rich people.
She's a rich character. We're talking about...
that was the reason.
That's the main... We're talking about Violet because she was mentioned on the show like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I thought now we're going to strike while the iron is hot. The iron is hot. Talk about Violet, and then other things came about, like an interview of Matilda Freeman.
Yeah, and
it kind of took over. Yeah, so we've left it, and she is no longer relevant to current Coronation Street, but we don't care.
She kind of is.
For those of you who have been watching and seeing Dylan show up on the cobbles and wonder what's going on here, then worry and wonder no more, because if you listen to this, you'll find out exactly who Violet is and what her deal is.
She has a baby with Sean.
Why she has a baby with Sean. Great mystery.
It is a bit of a mystery.
If you weren't watching it back then.
If you're not sure of the situation.
Yeah. Violet's a bit of a funny one to me thinking back, because like when I was just about to start doing the research on her, I was like, I can really picture her face.
Yeah.
I know that she was she had that thing with Sean. She had the baby with Sean.
I just kind of remember her frowning a lot.
Did you? I've got more of a happy picture of her in my head, but she certainly is on the list of barmaids who
are mysterious.
She's not going to make it on a stamp. Let's just say that.
Well, some people make it on a stamp.
Some people make it on a stamp, and they don't really deserve to be on. Who could read that? Liz McDonald, honestly.
That queen.
Yeah, but I think thinking back, I kind of like Violet, but as soon as she was gone, it was like instantly forgettable.
It's sad when that
So,
happens.
in case you've also instantly forgotten about her in the almost decade or so since she was last on the show, allow us to re-illuminate you. Gemma, vital stats, please.
She was born in around 1980. She doesn't have a birthday or anything.
No. Yeah.
She's got a sister, Lauren Wilson, and a brother who is unnamed. She has one child that we know of. She might have others at this point, but Dylan hasn't mentioned them.
I think Dylan might have mentioned them, but you know what? Sometimes on Coronation Street, family members just spring up.
And you don't know that you're even related sometimes until the moment you realise you've known them all their lives.
Are you talking about that one? Yeah, I'm just thinking about, characters just relation dropping. Jenny.
I'm thinking lots of things. Right, so... one child, Dylan Wilson, born in 2008. She first appeared on the 8th of October 2004 and she last appeared on the 24th of April 2011.
Her exit was like a while before that though. She made a comeback in 2011.
She appeared in 481 episodes and she is played by the very Coronation Street appropriate actress name of Jenny Platt.
That is a Weatherfield name right there.
I do really like it. Some people have very, very Corrie names, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. If, the storyliners have decided to take things in different ways, Jenny Platt could actually be a character on Coronation Street, couldn't she?
I mean, she could have married into the Platt family and been called Violet Platt.
I mean, look, actually, Jenny and Martin, back in the 80s, they were a hot couple, weren't they? Dating, crashing cars, all sorts.
What's that?
Jenny and Martin Platt.
Oh,
so if she'd have stayed with him, apart from swanning off to France and finding
Jenny
Patrice.
Platt, and then you would come up with lots of different things.
Yeah. Well, there's also the Adam Barlow, isn't there, who played, what's his name, Wayne?
That's something.
The other year. Yeah.
Right, come on, tell me about what her role was.
Well, Corrie was Jenny's first big role. Before that, she'd had a couple of...
She just had small roles like
on things like...
buns. Bridge rolls.
She'd been on The Bill. And Where the Heart Is.
What's
Everyone's been on The Bill. I don't know what the theme music for Where the Heart Is at all.
Can't she get herself in Casualty?
Maybe she's been... We'll find out what she's been doing since. I think she's more of a treading the board sort now.
She's she?
Yeah, I think so. We've seen her. We saw that picture. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago when I was putting the notes together with this? I showed you what she looks like now, and she is unrecognisable. Do you remember?
Yeah.
She was in this. Was it a Tudors programme or something? I would not. If she walked past me in the street, I wouldn't know.
It's funny how some people never change, and some people are chameleons.
Yeah, she totally is. I mean, it has been, as I say, almost a decade, and time makes fools
What?
of us all. I
No,
don't
she
know.
looks great.
Yeah, she looks great. She just looks different. She
What
looks
are you just... Right, the hole's been dug. Get out of it.
okay. She was cast in 2004, and the announcement was made alongside the casting of Tupele Dorgu, who played
Yeah. Legs.
Kelly Legs Crabtree, indeed. 10th of June 2004. Here, I always love these things when we find out what characters were originally
Yeah, I
supposed
like
to be
this.
called.
Yeah.
So
It's like looking
Violet,
into...
it's like parallel universe,
That's the
isn't
thing
it?
I'm thinking.
She was originally going to be called Julie, and the original plan was that she was going to be the street's first lesbian character. They had completely different ideas about what was going to happen to Violet, and then when she was in the show for a bit, and then that she got together with Jason, and people kind of warmed up to the idea that maybe she could be hetero after all, and so they kept it. They completely
How open-minded
scrapped
of
that
them.
idea. I know, and the story was later shifted to Sophie, which was, I mean, quite a few years later actually that Sophie
Well,
and
yeah.
Sean got together.
Exactly.
So that kind of thing is always fascinating to me. But there must be so many ideas dropped on the cutting room floor, so many stories that are originally intended for one character, and then another one takes it on.
know.
You just don't hear about it, do you?
Yeah, you really... Unless somebody writes a memoir, you never
Yeah.
find out.
But I mean, there's quite a lot of characters who have had different names in originally. I mean, even just recently we found out about Pat Phelan was originally going to be called Pete Phelan, wasn't he?
And then they
According to
found
Abigail
that
Kemper.
somebody was already called that.
Yeah, and I remember
in
that.
Salford.
I remember that Michael
Manchester
Rodwell
area.
was originally going to be called Michael Rogers, which sticks in my head because we know somebody called Michael Rogers. There's loads, there's absolutely loads. Anyway, 2004, she first came in. I think it was the tail end of the year. You probably said just a second ago, actually, didn't you? Was it the tail end of the year? October, that's tail end enough. And one thing I remember about her was that her thing was that she used to call Ken Sir because she was a past pupil of his. This was a few years into you watching Coronation Street. I mean, how are your memories of Violet?
I just told you, I'm not...
As brief as much. Do you remember her calling him Sir?
No, I don't. This is all going to be like,
This is going to be oh yes moments for
I
you.
know. I think I know what happened between her and Sean, and that's about it.
So when Gemma's about to tell you about the history of Violet, everyone, she doesn't know really. She's just reading my notes.
I am the authority.
as
on
well
Violet.
as
Thank you
knowing
very
Sean.
much.
Sorry, as well as knowing Ken, spoiler, she also knew Sean before moving into the streets. So they were like best buds from previous years. We learned that she left home at a young age after being seduced away by an older man. And that was 2004. Gemma, I pass over to you.
In 2005, I remember she moved
There we go.
into number 11 with Jason, and they broke up after for a bit because she gets seduced by Charlie Stubbs.
Yeah,
What a difference.
2005 was very much... Violet was a bit part in the Shelley and Charlie story. So that was when he was abusing her mentally and physically to some extent with, the old earring pull, and he was calling her fat and just and turning into a recluse. And Violet was a real supporter for Shelley during that story, although it did partly involve her being seduced by Charlie, as you said. And I think she kind of resists for a bit, but...
No, Charlie, no, we can't. Okay, then.
Yeah, I wonder whether the original plan was just like, we're going to have this story with Shelley and Charlie, and we need her to have, someone on her side behind the bar at the Rovers. Was she just created for this? I don't know.
So she ends up supporting Shelley when the story comes out about her being abused and stuff. Jason has an affair with Sarah Louise, and so Violet and Jason split up for good, and she starts dating Jamie Baldwin of the Baldwin clan of Londoners.
And I think if you think back to Violet and who she was mostly with during that time, it was Violet and Jamie very much stuck together for a lot of her tenure on the show. So it all could have gone slightly differently though, because in 2006 she started to think that Jamie might be gay. So she was like, oh, I was nearly gay as well. But
I know how easily it can happen.
It can be so easily confused.
1 minute you are just carrying on your life thinking that you're straight, and the next minute you get written in to be gay.
Yeah. Well, no, the reason that she thought that was because he was starting to hang around with Sean suspiciously, a suspicious
this
amount.
This is what they warned us about, Michael. It rubs off. If you're not careful, you can catch it from people.
This is what Blanche was worried about with Ken, wasn't she? Spending all that time with
Homosexual.
with Ken, yeah.
With who?
Oh, sorry, with Ted, I mean. Lovely guy Ted. But anyway.
Do we need a disclaimer?
Don't worry, Violet.
We're just joking.
Don't worry, Violet. He's not gay. He's not hanging around with Sean because of that. Because actually, he's having... It's much just nothing to worry about. He's only having an affair with his stepmother, Frankie.
But is he still straight?
He certainly is.
Okay, Frankie
yes.
is not a man's name.
No. Also, stepmother is a female relation.
Yeah, I know. But if she heard him at night in bed going, Frankie,
Yeah,
dreaming, that might
be.
have made her also wonder.
Well, even if he'd have been at night going, Frankie Baldwin, because Frankie Baldwin was also Mike's dad's name.
And she's got form for going off with older men.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Baldwin clan is a tangled...
It'd be Jamie.
Well, no, there was that other man from...
No, Jamie's the one that's running off with men.
Oh, yes. So confusing.
It's really confused.
The Baldwin clan family tree is already fairly tangled as well because of Adam... it's a bit supposedly being aborted before he was born, and then he just springs back in the mid-2000s. But Danny Baldwin,
very much, if you're worried.
Danny Baldwin was invented for the purpose of the storyline because he was never Mike was never supposed to have had a brother who'd have had Danny as a son. But never mind. Anyway,
don't worry about it.
We
the main
digress.
thing is Jamie's not gay.
Jamie's not gay. He's just having an affair with his stepmom. Perfectly normal and reasonable and understandable in a soap. No, honestly, this was like one of the stories at the time that was like, is this an incest story in Coronation Street?
I think I really enjoyed the Baldwins being like the most EastEnders Coronation Street's ever got, not just because of the accent.
No, sometimes, and I don't know why I've got a bit of a blind spot for southern accents in Coronation Street. Sometimes I don't realise. Like I spent like probably quite a while watching Coronation Street when I was younger without really remarking upon the fact that Mike Baldwin spoke different to everyone else. Spoke differently. He even though he's clearly Cockney wide boy, as you know, 12, 13-year-old, I didn't pick up on that. I didn't realise. That's fair enough. But even people like Spider Nugent, who was from London. And it was only on the interview recently with Martin, the actor who played Spider. It was like, oh yeah, he's really obviously Southern, isn't he?
The thing is, the Queen lets us mix now more than we were allowed to in the past.
Yeah. Between
different parts of the country, like we are allowed. That's why we were allowed to get married, even though you're from the Midlands.
Yeah. But anyway, sometimes like I just don't realise. But anyway, I'm digressing again. So Sean keeps quiet about this affair when he finds out
that Jamie is having an affair with stepmom Frankie.
Yes. December, Violet discovers that she's pregnant with Jamie's baby. Hooray! But when she tells him about it, he's like, yeah, I got some news too. I'm having it off with my stepmom. And unsurprisingly...
How did this come up in conversation?
Unsurprisingly, she's fairly cross with him and Betty mate Sean for keeping it quiet.
Oh dear, this changes my plans, she says.
It all goes down in 2007, Gemma. Does it not?
Well, unfortunately...
Looking by the length of these notes.
What?
I'm just saying, looking by the length of these notes, 2007 was...
It gets meaty.
Yes.
She suffers an ectopic pregnancy on New Year's Day, and she has to have the baby and a fallopian tube removed, which is horrible.
Ectopic pregnancy when it
is that
gets...
the word?
I think so. Is that when the baby starts growing inside the fallopian tube?
I
thought I'm deferring to you as the woman of this podcast.
I've never been pregnant before, and if I were to be,
please don't
it might end up anywhere. To be honest, my body's not very reliable. It might end up trying to grow out my nose. So, I try to avoid it. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It's not a great place really to grow.
Yeah. No. So that was kind of pretty tragic.
That is very sad, because obviously if you've got one of your tubes taken out, you've only got a smaller chance, haven't you? What do they do with all your eggs?
I don't know.
It's quite funny to think you're walking
them
around
into
with
the
all
other
your
ovum.
legs. No, I don't think you can do that.
I mean.
Right, poor Violet. She gets drunk with Sean, and they say, "Let's have a child together if we're both single and childless at the age of 30." And Violet's like, "Why wait? Why wait? Let's do it now. Let's go get the turkey baster. Look, there was definitely a stage, right, in the 90s and early 2000s where a turkey baster was only ever used in fiction to make women pregnant. It never used for turkey basting.
No,
And
I
in
mean,
fact,
I wouldn't want to baste
why
a turkey
would
with an
you-
hour. It just make me think of it.
I've never
Where's the
basted a
spin?
turkey before in my life.
No.
I wouldn't want to purchase
But
such
then
a disgusting
I've
object
never
as a
artificially
turkey bake.
inseminated anybody in my life
No.
either. So really, that's why we don't have a turkey baster in our kitchen drawer.
I'm worried about the nose thing.
Yeah. Tell you what, this pact when they're 30, I've got also a real weird thing with ages, because obviously when we watched this, we were in our early 20s, and these characters just seemed, older than us. And
Yeah.
now when they talk about when we're 30, so they clearly weren't, it's like, wow, they were like probably 10 years older than us when this was happening, but we thought they were old, and now we're 10 years older than they were then, and it just makes you feel really old, doesn't it?
I know, especially when people are like, oh no, I need to do this before I'm 30. I remember one of your family friends, one Christmas, was talking, she had a list of things that she wanted to do before she was 30, and it made me laugh, because I was like, literally you could do everything you've just said at any age in your life.
The other one with 30 on Coronation Street was when Leanne found out that Stella was her mum on her 30th birthday.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's like,
funny, isn't it?
oh, Leanne, you're quite old, you're 30. I remember thinking that. And she was still only like a few years older than us, wasn't she? Leanne's not super much older than us. But and the worst thing is, they
You just
also
get
make a
older
big
every
thing
year,
on
Michael.
Coronation Street about when characters hit 40. Like when Steve hit 40, that was big. He was like proper old and, knocking on death's door at that stage. It's
shut
like,
up
that's
now.
going to be us in a couple of years'
Shut
time.
up now, please. So, it works. In July, she finds out she's pregnant, and she says, please, Sean, don't tell anybody. But Sean can't keep a secret, and he tells Jamie.
No point asking Sean to keep any secrets.
Sean wants to know the sex of the baby, but Violet doesn't before she gives birth. He tricks...
Thank you for qualifying that.
What
Well,
do you
even
mean?
after the baby's born.
Don't
Don't
tell me.
don't tell me.
You're making a joke, but some people raise the children gender neutral, don't they?
They do, but I don't think that was a thing back in 2007.
But gender and sex are different, and the more we acknowledge this, the fewer problems we'll have, everybody. Anyway, so Sean tricks Marcus, he was a
Sonographer. Scan man.
baby blobber. He blobs the tummy and
Yeah.
gets the stick and tells you. He tricks him into revealing to Sean that Violet is having a baby boy, and then he tells Jamie, right?
Yeah, so Sean knows.
Sean and Jamie now know,
Yeah.
but Violet doesn't want to know. And
No.
then Jamie accidentally tells Violet that he knows and how he found out, and presumably that it's a boy. And she's mad at Sean. So she's like, right, you can't be trusted. This is a bit drastic. You can't be trusted. I'm going to raise the baby without you. You're just the donor. You're not the dad.
That's so sad. I mean, looking at this history, Sean did let Violet down on more than one occasion. He is a bit flaky, to be fair, isn't he? He's not the most trustworthy of characters on the street. But I think I do. I mean, we all remember the scene, don't we? It's 2008 when she leaves him, and
Yeah.
she was so in the wrong there.
Um,
Continue. Oh, we will let's get there. Let's get there, because they make friends again. Initially she says, "You're having nothing to do with this kid," and then
she's
she's
like,
like, "Oh, it's
fine,
probably a bit
okay,
harsh."
I don't mind. Then she gets back together with Jason, and they move in together, and they decide to be the baby's parents. Then Lauren, her sister, turns up, and she's crazy, and she gets a barmaid job at the Rovers, and she starts dating Daryl Morton for his money. It wasn't for his family connections or
Yeah,
personality.
and as you might remember from our excellent Morton character profile that we did just a month or two ago,
He's the one that lived in the shed.
Daryl is the one
I
from the
liked
shed.
him.
Yeah.
He was the one that I actually liked.
If you wanted to marry somebody for their money, would you go for the bloke in the shed?
No, not really. Not unless he was like had some kind of side hustle, like he was going to rent it out for other Christmases over.
He was involved
over the
in drugs a
festive
little bit,
season.
wasn't he? Which I hear can be quite lucrative.
Oh no! Oops.
Gemma's alarm's gone off, everybody. I'm not editing that. I'm just going to go on through it because we're unprofessional. 2008. Julie? Jenny? Violet. Who are we talking about? Violet gives birth in the Rovers with Sean by her side.
To a
Lovely.
baby.
To an actual baby boy.
Yeah.
There haven't been very many people that have given birth in the Rovers over the years, have there? Like,
It's a rare honour to be born in the Rovers.
again, I mean, saying that, there's not many people that have given birth in a hospital either, especially in recent years. But
And they've got the set there and everything.
They have. But just recently, I think Trisha Armstrong gave birth to Brad in the Rovers on the classic Coronation
Yeah, but that's
Street.
not recently, though, is it? That was in
Recently in my life.
90-something.
7, yeah. There's been a few, but not many. I can't remember who else. But anyway, Sean bonds with the baby super quick.
She calls him Dylan.
She calls him Dylan, and Violet's pretty mad with the fact that Sean's bonding with the baby quicker than she was.
She really... This does annoy me, because she entered into an agreement with Sean to have a baby with him, and they weren't clear at all with each other about what that would entail later.
Well, I think they probably did, but she just went back on it. She's Welshed on it.
That's not right. No, you can't say that.
Why?
Because it's discrimination against
Why?
Welsh people. It is. You wouldn't like it.
I thought it was discrimination against Denise Welsh. Anyway, Violet proposes to Jamie on February the 29th, as it was a leap year, and they decided to move back to London together. Lauren, remember that's Violet's sister, tells Sean, watch out, they're off down the old smoke. And then they go and run out to try and stop them, but it is too late.
Yeah.
My son!
Yeah. Sean collapses on the ground dramatically, shouting, "My son."
Yes, so you may well have seen that scene, everybody. And I remember when we saw it on social media a few weeks ago, and people saying, who's that next to Sean? Well, it was Lauren.
It's Lauren.
Who I don't know, what was she in, 20, 30 episodes? I'm not really sure why she was in the programme, but she didn't last very long.
2010.
But, Auntie Lauren might turn up if they're introducing Dylan back into the show.
2010, Sean tracks Violet down using, this is a well-known social media site, FaceScene.
FaceScene, yeah.
He found it by Vogling, and he decided to sign up so he could get in touch with old friends and family. He pretends to be Liz and asks for some photos
from Violet.
Of Dylan, I assume.
I assume so. Send us your nudes.
Or just send me a photo of a really cute turtle. And a mouse holding a flower.
Love cat pics. They're all the rage these days.
I want you to send me pictures, in that calendar, of babies wearing flowers as hats.
Is that the sort of thing that Sean would really want?
Send me a picture of a man wearing chaps. So, because Violet thinks she's talking to Liz, she confesses to her that she feels guilty for cutting Sean out of Dylan's life. And then Liz, which is really Sean, has a go at her. And Violet rings the Rovers, and Liz is like, "What?
I've not been talking with you.
I haven't been asking for pictures of naked men."
I've got plenty of my own, thank you very much.
She's like, "Is this about those naked men pictures?" Because they told me I wouldn't get in trouble about this. So Liz then obviously discovers Sean's been impersonating
She's
her.
just got a mental catalogue of all the guys that she's been with over the year, has Liz probably. She doesn't need photos.
No, she just closes
her
her
brain
eyes.
is wallpapered with them.
Sean gets fired by Liz because she's mad about him
impersonating a landlady.
On FaceScene, that's illegal. When she realises how upset Sean is, she rehires him and phones up Violet and says, "Look, let Sean see his son, for God's sake, please." 2000.
I was going to do the next year.
2011.
2011. So Sean, that is exactly what he does. He heads down to London. So they had a cool special episode or two, maybe, I can't remember.
Oh, a special
set in London
episode.
Actually filmed in London. I think the credits over London things, and there was montages of Sean and Marcus taking Dylan around up the London Eye, and so
did it open with do 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 do?
It did not have the EastEnders music. That would be too weird.
Did they show the River Thames?
Probably.
The Millennium Dome.
I've got a feeling there was some kind of musical montage in there. I mean, it's a while.
With some kind of cheesy, awful London song.
Never.
Right, go on.
Violet, we discover, is going through a breakup with Jamie, which is why she's not going out with him at the moment. Who's she going out with? What? I can't. I didn't write it down here because I thought we were talking about it.
It was a posh name.
It was a posh name. Anton, that's right. So Anton's not on the scene at the moment.
Loaded.
But yeah, Violet's breaking up with Jamie because he's on it as well. She's had an affair with a gardener.
I mean,
What's a hussy?
current day Violet would probably have an affair with her gardener. That's how rich they are.
And when Sean tries to comfort Violet, she makes some homophobic remarks.
Like
So,
what?
I don't know. I don't.
What could she say? This sounds
I'm not
really
even
offensive.
I'm not even going to go there. But I'm sure it's on YouTube if you want to go and find out. I probably should have found out for myself, but never mind. Later in the year, we find out that Violet has been injured in a car crash, and Dylan has to come and live with Sean for a little bit. And the little boy who played Dylan back then in 2011 is the same one who's playing him now. Fact, fans. After this, Sean is told he can come and visit Dylan whenever he wants, and that's what he does. But we don't see Violet after then. We barely hear about her, and I'm just kind of left wondering now, are we going to be seeing her again soon? I'm not really gagging for it. It's always nice to have a bit of a return for characters that haven't been in it for a while, but sometimes it's a bit of a letdown, like Debbie last year, Martin Platt last year as well. Who else have we had? Scylla, obviously, but I'd welcome it back for a little bit.
I don't know what the point of it would have to be. A good storyline that stayed true to the character. That's the thing that's disappointing.
It feels to me like what is true to the character, because I remember Violet being quite nice, fairly inoffensive, but she's being painted as a nasty piece of work at the moment.
Is she?
Snobby.
Is she?
Yeah,
I didn't get that at all.
I am, and paying for everything for Dylan. Spoiling
not snobby.
Okay.
What the hell are you talking about?
I get the impression that she's spoiling her son, and Sean is looking
didn't get that at all.
Is saying, "Oh, she thinks she's better than us these days."
No,
even the fact that she had an affair with a gardener. She makes these homophobic remarks towards Sean.
That's bad. Obviously that's bad. But I'm saying you have completely taken what Sean said about Violet at face value, when actually the story isn't about whether or not Violet is a snob, but the story is about how Sean feels insecure and has lack of confidence because of his social position and his earnings and where he is in his life at the moment. That you weren't supposed to get from that my opinion, that Violet's horrible because she's rich.
That's what I'm getting from it.
Think about the fact that Sean is living with a friend.
Yeah.
He hasn't got his own house. He hasn't got a mortgage. He's not even renting properly in his own house.
Yeah.
He's got like a job in a factory, and he can't afford to provide for his child. So he's comparing himself. This is the trouble. Don't compare yourself to other people, because that's why he's upset.
Yeah.
That's why he's decided to do this MLM thing.
Yeah. Would you like to see Violet?
I want to see posh Violet. It'd be quite funny.
I'd be interested to know how much would they change the character. There's nothing wrong with doing well for yourself
in life, Michael, and being able to take your kid on holiday.
They're going
to a castle for Christmas.
I think the lesson we learn from Coronation Street is if you go down to live to London for a bit, you end up finding a snobby posh boyfriend, because that's what happened to Todd, wasn't it? You went down there and then he came back going out with, I can't remember what his name was now, but he also had a posh horrible boyfriend for a little bit. On one of his returns. London, I just told you. But the thing is, Gemma, you need to go down to London for it, and you can only go up to London, so it doesn't work.
I can do in a big circle. I can go up and back down again.
You're the person that Northerners come down south to date.
Oh, I'm the horrible boyfriend.
You are.
I'm the horrible rich one.
Anyway, that was it for Violet, and after leaving Coronation Street, Jenny Platt actually married Rupert Hill. Oh no, it wasn't even... Yeah, it was. 2013, so she started dating him on the programme. This is the man who played Jamie, yeah. They'd had a child together in 2010, so... romance blossomed on the street, and it was suggested in the tabloids. This is gossip. I'm reporting gossip from the tabloids that her previous marriage ended and Rupert's previous relationship ended because of how close they were on set. So this is
gossip.
Yes, I'm reporting it. This isn't saying
go on.
Everybody guess what's going on.
We've got a time constraint. Come on.
Friends of Jenny reportedly said that Jenny found the breakup very painful, and she will always associate the stresses of that breakup with her role as Violet. Now she hates all the attention her close relationship with Rupert gets. She just wants to make a clean break from Corrie and try other things. So that was a year before she left, and in the February, I think, the year before she left, all the tabloids were saying she's about to go, no more Violet, she's leaving, and she actually did hold on for another year, so it wasn't a massive surprise when she did eventually end up leaving.
Well, this is an actual quote from her, though.
Yeah, this is a quote from her speaking to the East Anglian Daily Times in 2010. She looks back on it with, relative happiness. I loved being in Corrie, she said. It was a very cosy, very happy environment. I could feel myself settling into a very comfortable little rut. Certainly the security of knowing that I had a wage coming in every week was wonderful. I'd been in the series for 3 years, but I felt that as tempting as it was to stay, professionally, I was missing something. Being in a series like Coronation Street is a full-time commitment. You live, eat, breathe Coronation Street. There's no time to do anything else. I would have liked to take a couple of months off here and there to do a play or something, and then come back refreshed, but the schedule doesn't allow for things like that. So I took a deep breath and said, "Excuse me, I want to leave."
Very brave.
Yeah, and you hear that from some of the other actors. I mean, just speaking with Matilda a few weeks ago, she wanted to spread her wings, but Coronation Street doesn't.
What she's doing in South Africa?
No, we don't. But yeah, Coronation Street wants to keep you locked
Very
down
excited.
and like Corrie only, please. Maybe a bit of dancing on ice. Anyway, that's it. What did Jenny do next, Gemma?
She had some small roles in Doctors. She was in Scott and Bailey, and finally she
There we go.
herself into Casualty, and she played Janine or
Jean,
in the series.
It's French.
In Versailles.
Yeah, that was the picture that I showed you. She was in Versailles. I knew it was something historical. I said Tudors earlier. Close enough.
Jean.
I've only got a degree in French, everybody. Don't ask me.
I don't.
Anyway.
I just absorb it from you.
So she's doing all right. She's doing all right. And she did speak just a couple of years ago, actually.
So this
about,
must have been when she was doing press for Versailles, because
Yeah.
it was 2018.
Yeah, she says that she misses the camaraderie of Coronation Street. She said it was a lovely show. She had a brilliant time on it. Didn't at any point think, I don't want to be here. Although it seemed earlier that she had said that.
Well, you would.
Anyway, I loved it, she said. I really enjoyed it. When I decided to leave, it was nothing to do with not liking the job. It's brilliant. Sometimes I miss it, but then, I don't know. It's a funny one because I've got 2 children. I always know that if I was doing something that was regular again, you just miss out on a lot at home. But I love it. I still think it's a great show. It's still my favourite of the soaps, without a doubt. So I think 2018, Jenny Platt was hedging her bets and saying, if ever you want me back again, Corrie, I think you're great. I vote for you in the soap awards. So who knows? And with
Maybe
this,
she'll come back if she can, or when her children are older.
yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not gagging for her back, but like I said, it'd be nice. It's always nice to see an old face again.
The fact that Dylan's back, that Dylan's back
exactly
makes me think they're either going to reintroduce Violet at some point, or they're going to kill her off.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they kill her off. They did the same with Katie.
What kind of fancy rich lady activity would she die doing? I think she's going to get trampled by a racehorse at Ascot.
What do rich ladies do? They go
They
to
mostly
casinos,
just-
don't they? Maybe they're
No,
playing.
They don't.
Yes, they do.
Some of them
On the
do.
arm of James Bond. Thank you very much. And I think that they're
I'm
playing a
thinking
game
of, like,
of
Grove
roulette, and he spins it a little bit too
Okay.
hard, and the roulette ball spins off the wheel and
Yeah,
impales
I've
her,
heard
goes
of this
right through the
happening.
face.
Yeah, this
That's how I
happens
think.
sometimes.
That's how she's going to die.
I think she's going to go to Harrods and die of a heart attack looking at how much it costs to buy a hair grip.
Any of these options, Coronation Street, just give us a quick mention on the credits of the show that it's mentioned in, and we'll say
Maybe
no more
she'll
about
choke
it.
on a lobster
Maybe.
and die.
So many options. Or maybe she'll just do an Elsie Tanner and drive off a cliff in Portugal.
Oh, wow. I mean, very many famous rich ladies have died driving off cliffs.
Have they?
Well, Princess Grace of Monaco.
I don't know anything about that. Anyway, that is Violet, everybody. Do you remember now? Or if you didn't watch it back at the time, now you know. Now you know what's going on with Sean.
Now
That's
you know
why
the
he's got a
dealio.
son. That's what Dylan's all about. And that's who this cow Violet is. That
She's not a cow. She's
I think I'm
rich.
just on Sean's side on this one. I don't know. It's, and Dylan's side.
Oh,
yeah.
the class divisions of Britain.
Yeah. It was. She's well known for driving off with Sean's son.
Driving off a cliff.
For the turkey baster scene. I mean, I'd rather have Shally back
I don't want
than
to think about
Violet.
it. Stop talking about it.
Okay, we're finished. That's done. That's Violet Wilson, everybody.
Goodbye.